I think that is good.
Thank you, everyone. Day 3 of Mental Week. How exciting!
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get the energy up. So before I wanted to start today, I wanted to give you some insight of when my school had Mental Week. So I was also in year 9, same as you, and we were all asked by our teacher to find some space on the floor and lie down and close our eyes and think about what we want to do in the future, our goals, who we want to become. And so there I am, lying down, closing my eyes, thinking about my future. Yes, I'm going to get 100% on this next maths exam. Yes, I'm going to be more appreciative of the things I have in life. And then all of a sudden I hear people laughing. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, how is setting goals so funny? Turns out, I opened my eyes and I didn't recognize a single person around me. The next class had already come in, and they just let me sleep through it. In fact, my friend actually recorded this happening. He's so mean. Look at this. Let's take a look again. Let's take a look again. I want you to listen closely. Listen. You see, I always look back at that moment and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I was just sleepy. Maybe I was just tired. I really wasn't tired. I just hated that question. Every time someone asked me, what do you want to do in the future? Who do you want to become? I hated that question. I was so tired of that question, so I thought instead, it's just easier for me to just sleep through it. And that's exactly what I did. Now today, don't worry, I'm not going to get you to close your eyes and think about your future. I'm going to share with you 3 things I've learned before I had to learn it the hard way. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge one thing. I've never been a 14 or 15 or 16-year-old girl. And I'm not going to stand up here and pretend like I know everything that's going on in your life right now. Because I don't. But what I do know is I know what it feels like to feel small. And it took me so long to figure out what was the root cause behind all of this. But before I do that, I want to give you some context of who I am. So this is me at school. I was 13 years old. I'm standing next. Yes, some people said that's Knox. Yes, I went to Knox. I'm 13 years old. I'm standing next to my mom and my dad. The one thing you need to know about my parents is that they migrated from China to Australia to give me a better education than they had. You see, my mom, standing on my right, she never went to university. And my dad's side, his side was all doctors and lawyers and engineers. So you can imagine, as soon as I put on this uniform, there was already so much pressure to perform. What's crazy is that every time I would visit my dad's side of his family, my grandparents, every Chinese New Year, every family dinner, every family gathering, the first thing my grandparents would say to me, in Chinese, they would say, 你什么时候毕业? And for those of you who can't speak Chinese, it translates to, when are you graduating? I was 13 years old. I had barely started school and my grandparents were already asking me, when are you graduating? Now, to add on top of this pressure, I'm also the eldest child as well. Who's the eldest child in the room? Okay, a few of you. Okay, thank you girls, thank you. Being the eldest child, you already know what it's like. You have so much pressure to perform. You have so much pressure to pave the way for your siblings. You have to make all the right decisions. You have to take all the risks so your younger sibling can live a safe path. And at school at Knox, I wasn't a standout kid. I wasn't anyone special. I didn't do a ton of co-curriculars. I wasn't on the leadership team. I wasn't a captain, wasn't a prefect. I wasn't anyone special. And out of my entire year group of 360 boys, I knew about 6 or 7 of them. 6 or 7 of them. You see, I struggled a lot with making friends. I really did. Now I look back at this moment and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Me struggling to fit in, me struggling to make friends, the pressure from my family, it was all due to one thing. Do you know what that one thing is? It's fear. I can see some people got it right. So rather than me telling you all about fear, I want you all to experience fear. So, what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to face the girl next to you and look at each other in the eyes. And I want you to, thank you girls, thank you. No talking please, I want you to look at each other in the eyes. And I don't want you to talk. No smiling, no laughing, no jokes, no nothing. I just want you to look for 10 seconds. I'm going to count down for 10 seconds. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, no talking, no laughing, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, you can look away. Okay, thank you girls, thank you. How did that feel? I would love to hear some thoughts. If you can raise your hand and share with me how that felt. Yes?
They felt unserious.
Unserious?
Yeah, like I see it every day.
See it every day, okay. Who else? Yes?
My component was really intimidating.
Intimidating, okay. Unserious, intimidating. What else? What else do we have, yeah? Very, very nonchalant, okay. Did anyone feel scared? Felt scared? Some people, maybe you felt like your heart just pumping like crazy. Maybe you felt like you just wanted to look away because it was easier. Or maybe you felt like you wanted to make a joke. You just wanted to look away because it was easier than just looking. So how do we turn this fear that we feel? How do we turn it into something more useful? Something like courage. You see, fear requires one extra ingredient for it to turn into courage. And you all showed us what that ingredient was.
Bravery.
Close. It's action. You all felt that fear. You took action. You did it anyways. And in the process, you became courageous. Because you see, courageous people, they don't do things in the absence of fear. They feel that fear. And they do it anyways. So what it shows us is that courage is a muscle. You practice it by doing small, scary things on purpose, over and over and over and over again, until your body learns that scary doesn't mean dangerous. And what I've found over the years is that confidence and courage usually come from the other side of fear. You know, people always say, I'm just going to wait until I feel confident. I'm just going to wait until I feel courageous, until I take on my fear. That's not how it works. Look at this equation. It's not how it works. You take that fear, you take action, and in the process you become courageous. It doesn't work the other way around. You don't become courageous and then you do the thing. So that's what I found. And so in a moment, I'm going to share with you a bunch of fears that I felt. And if you feel the same, if you feel any of these fears, I want you to raise your hand and share it with me. I'm not going to ask you any questions about it. So these are a bunch of fears I felt. Being cringe, letting people down, looking awkward, being judged, comparison, perfectionism, being left out, showing the real you. How many of you feel this? Okay, that's quite a few of you. First of all, I want you to look around. Please, still raise your hands. I want you to look around and just know that you're not alone. And I want some of you to please share which one you feel. Which one do you feel? Both. Perfectionism? Who else struggles with perfectionism? You're not alone. Which one do you feel?
Yeah, being cringe.
Being cringe? Let's go for this side of the room. Which one do you feel? Looking awkward? 100%. That was me for so long. And we'll get one more. Who wants to share their fear? Yes? Which one do you feel?
Comparison.
Comparison. Thank you all for sharing that. It's not easy to share that, so I acknowledge you. Thank you so much. Because these are all things I felt. Comparison, especially in an Asian household. I'm always compared to my cousin. Right? Your cousin who's an A achieving student. Or someone better. I was never enough. And what I've realized is that all these fears, they can be broken down into 3 different types of fears. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection. So someone over there said comparison. Again, you're comparing yourself to other people, and in that case, you're feeling like you're a failure. And that's okay, because I felt that for so long. Fear of judgment, looking awkward, being cringe. You're scared of what other people will think of you by being yourself. And fear of rejection as well, being left out, losing friends. That was me for so long. I made sure that I was friends with every single person. I wasn't on bad terms with anyone because I was scared of losing them. So what I want to share with you today are 3 lessons, and they're tied with these 3 fears. The first one is self-worth. Now, to demonstrate self-worth, I have $100 right here. Who wants it? Everyone. You've missed everyone. Alright, quiet please, thank you. Thank you. Alright, I'm going to fold it. Again like this. Who wants it now? Why? Still $100, right? What if I... Who wants it? Still everyone, why? Still $100. What if I tell this $100, you're nothing, you're a failure. You're worthless, you have no friends. Who wants it? Still, everyone wants it. See, a lot of us in life, this represents ourselves. This $100 note represents ourselves. And a lot of the times, when people are yelling bad things at us, when we get bad marks, when we let other things, external situations define us, which is the folds, we start to diminish this value. But in the end, we're still $100. We still know our worth. Our worth doesn't go down just because I folded it, just because I stomped on it, just because I yelled bad things at it. It doesn't, because it's still $100. And so why, when people tell bad things to you, why should you let that influence your decisions and influence who you are? For me, every single time, every single term, reports would come out. And I absolutely hated reports. I wasn't an A achieving student. I was far from it. Every time reports came out, I was so scared of showing my parents. I was so scared of showing anyone. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to hide it. No one's going to find out. My parents aren't going to find out. Boy, was I wrong. Because parent-teacher interviews, all they talk about is your reports. I didn't realize that. And in fact, I have my reports up here of when I was in year 9. A bunch of C's, D's, some B's even. I was so far away from being a top student. And I remember one time, my dad, he went up to me and he had the following conversation with me. He said to me, Shane, do you know how much private school is? And I said to him, Dad, yes, you've told me so many times. I had no idea how much was a lot of money. I just nodded to get rid of that conversation. And he told me, Shane, we saved up so much money for you to go to private school. You see, the one thing is, my parents weren't to blame for this. They weren't. What happened was that I attached these numbers, these letters, the C's, the D's, I let them define who I was. Just like that $100 note I showed you. I let those folds, the stomping, the shouting, I let that define who I was. And that's the most dangerous thing you can do at your age, is let a mark define you. And as someone standing here right now, let me tell you one thing. Your mark tells you nothing about who you are. Absolutely nothing. And outside of marks, outside of school, I'll let different numbers define me. How many of you have social media? Show of hands. Okay, almost half of you. Thank you. I remember when I was in year 9, I was so obsessed with social media. I let different numbers define me. My follower count. I would always make sure that I had the most amount of followers so that I would finally be worthy in front of my friends. Like count on photos. Who liked my photo? I remember I was trying to get this one girl's attention. Every time she would like my photo, I would feel like I'm over the moon. Every time she didn't, I felt so sick, I wanted to delete the photo. Verified tick. This was before you can pay for it. I figured out, I was trying to figure out how to get that tick so that I could finally show to other people that I was cool. Achievements, appearance, and lifestyle. I would always look at other people who have these things and I would always wonder to myself, why isn't that me? Am I doing something wrong? So maybe you feel the same as well. That's okay, because for the longest time, I let these numbers define me. And so it doesn't matter what number it is, whether it's your marks or social media. The first thing I've learned with this lesson is that a number can measure your work, but it can never measure your worth. A number can measure your work, but it can never measure your worth. So with the second thing I learned in high school, before learning it the hard way, self-confidence. How many people want to be more confident in their life? Almost everyone again. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to do something, but you stopped yourself because you worried about what other people might think? Yes? Quite a few people. That was most of me for high school. I remember I wanted to do hip-hop, to do dancing in high school. But my friends thought it wasn't cool, so I didn't do it. For me, I wanted to also post content online, make videos for social media. My friends told me, Shane, who's going to watch that? Who are you posting it to? That's so cringe, Shane, just delete it. And so it stopped me. So I didn't do it. And the biggest thing was, remember how I had 6 friends in high school? There were like 350 other people I never met. One of those reasons was because of the fear of judgment, of the way I looked. You see, I had a lot of issues with my skin in high school. This was me. I had a lot of pimples. It affected my self-confidence a lot. I would always, the pimples would be the very first thing I think about. Every time I go to school, every time I meet someone new, every time I see my friends. I had a huge pimple on my nose right here. That was my biggest insecurity. I remember people would call me Rudolph.
Rudolph?
The red-nosed reindeer.
Who said that to you?
I know, very mean. And I remember my friends would even tell me, Shane, why do you have so many pimples? Like it was something I could control. And it got so bad to a point. Year 12 formal came around. Do you guys do formal?
Yeah.
Year 12 formal came around. And somehow I managed to convince this beautiful girl to come with me. Yes, it was a dream. It was amazing. And we had so much fun. We got our photos taken, we partied so hard. I even matched my blue tie with a blue dress. It's It's one of the most expensive ties I own to this day. We had so much fun. And I remember I was like, that night I slept so good, I was like, oh, this is so much fun. A few weeks later, I'm scrolling on my Instagram. And I see that she posted it, and of course I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her. Amazing, she looks great. And then I look at myself. She completely edited out my pimples and whitened my teeth. I can't believe I even liked the photo. But you have to understand what was going through my head at that point. I was thinking to myself, no. Is it really that bad? Is this really how people see me? I didn't go to school for an entire week after that. Just to avoid being seen. You see, I hated the person I was seeing in the mirror every single morning when I woke up. I wanted it to change so bad. I remember the next day, I wanted to pop all my pimples. I thought, you know what, this is going to solve everything. But it instead made it worse because it was even more red and it caught me even more attraction. People were talking about it. But you see, a lot of these things, my friend telling me, Shane, why do you have so many pimples? I realized that we're all playing this game in high school. We're all playing this status game. At least I was, and at least a lot of my friends were. We're all playing this status game. We all want to be better than everyone else. Right? When my friend told me, Shane, why do you have a lot of pimples? He said that in a group of people to make himself rise above me. He wanted to make me feel inferior. And it had nothing to do with me, because he would never tell me one-on-one. Same with this girl. She didn't do that to make me feel bad. She probably didn't even realize. She did that to make her post look good. It took her 5 minutes. But the pain stuck with me for 5 years. And so a lot of these things, what I've come to realize is that people don't care as much as you do. And the ones who do, let them. Let them care. People are going to judge regardless. You know, when I stood on stage today, when I played music, I guarantee you, one person, or maybe you made a judgment of who I am. And that's not something I can control. The only person I can control is myself, my happiness. I'm not responsible for other people's happiness. So that's what I've learned, the second lesson. And finally, the last thing I want to share is friendships. Now, I never cracked the code on this one, as you could tell with my 2 previous lessons. I struggled with friendships a lot. During high school, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to have many friends. I'm going to stick with these 6 people. These 350 others, don't worry about them. During university, that's when I'm going to have a fresh start. I'm going to meet new people. It's going to be amazing. So university started. And boy, was I wrong again. Everyone is in a new environment, struggling to make friends, including myself. Struggling to find my people. Because all those 6 people I sat with, they all went to different universities, so I was stuck by myself. And there was one time, it was on the 4th day of university. I was getting food, and I said to myself, you know what? I can just sit here and eat by myself like I've always done for the past 4 days. Or I can muster up that courage, feel that fear, do it anyways. Scary doesn't mean dangerous. I can feel that fear, and I see an empty seat in a group of people. There were like 10 different people there, but there was one empty seat. I can feel that fear, and just walk up, sit down, and do it anyways. You know, I felt that fear in my head. I was thinking, what are these people going to think of me? Oh my gosh. What if they say no? What if they think I'm so weird? Who even asks people to sit with them? Who is this stranger? And I felt all these fears and I did it anyways. And these people turned out to be my closest friends. Up until this very day. So they were my best friends up until this very day right now. And I want to link this with my favorite food. Don't worry, it's going to be relevant. This is my favorite food. In Chinese, it's called 牛筋汤. It's amazing. My mom cooks it the best. And for me to find out that this was my favorite food, I had to try so many other foods to realize that they weren't my favorite food. Hundreds and hundreds of dishes to realize that they weren't my favorite food, to realize that this was my favorite food. I'm sure you have one as well. I'm sure you all have a favorite food, and you probably realized it was your favorite food because you tried so many others that weren't your favorite food. But this is exactly like people, exactly like friendships as well. When you meet someone you don't click with, when you meet someone you don't vibe with, you feel like, oh, I just have to make this work. This has to be my favorite food. No, it doesn't have to. It just means you haven't found your people yet. And this message is mainly for the people who are struggling to find their group, struggling to find their people, because that was me. And so what I've learned from this is that some of the most important people in your life are people you haven't even met yet. Some of the most important people in your life are people you haven't even met yet. For me, I met my best friends in university. I would have never thought that. And I want to do this activity with you right now. I was thinking to myself, how am I going to make this work? And I think it's doable. So right now, I remember someone saying you're all sitting in mentor groups, right? I want you in the next, let's give you 2 minutes to find someone who you haven't talked to or who you haven't really met yet. And I want you to sit next to that person. And I want you to just say one genuine thing to each other. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to mingle around, find someone. Introduce yourself. I'll give you 20 more seconds. Okay, please find your seats. Please find your seats. Please find your seats, everyone. Thank you. Please take a seat. Thank you. Please find your seats, everyone. Hopefully you all had some interacted with people who you never really talked to or who you've barely talked to before, who you haven't even met before. Because that's something that I realized. I was sitting 20 seats away from someone in pretty much a similar hall at my school, and I just never said hello. And I want to show you what happens when you keep on working on this courage muscle, when you keep on doing small, scary things on purpose, over and over and over again until your body realizes that scary doesn't mean dangerous. I want to show you what can happen. This is what happened when I worked on this muscle. This is me, busking, playing the piano on the streets of Sydney. The piano I got forced into from such a young age. You see, I felt all this fear. I was feeling fear of failure. I thought to myself, what if I make a mistake? What if I play the wrong note? What if I forget a piece? I felt fear of judgment as well. What if I see my high school friends? What if they think I'm so weird? Again, I felt like being cringe as well. What if I'm cringe? I felt all this fear. And I did it anyways. And this was a couple weeks ago, actually. I went to an open mic night for comedy. I felt this fear again. I went by myself, didn't know anyone. And I had to prepare 2 minutes worth of jokes. I was struggling. I was like, oh, what do people find funny? And I'm not a comedian by any means. And so I was struggling. And I felt all this fear. What if I completely bomb my joke? What if no one laughs? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I just forget all my lines? I felt all this fear. And I did it anyways. And finally, this was when I stood on stage last year. For the very first time. And I want to share with you, public speaking is still something I'm afraid of. I know it doesn't seem like it because I'm giving this talk right now. But I'm feeling this fear. I'm taking action and I'm doing it anyways. So that's why I'm making public speaking my career. Because it's something that I'm afraid of. And if you keep on running away from fear, you're never going to actually overcome it. Do you think I would have overcome my fear of playing piano in the street if I just didn't do it?
No.
I had to do it. I had to overcome that fear and do it anyways. Same with public speaking. It's never going to get easier. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll always be waiting. So with that, you're probably wondering, how do you overcome the fear of failure? How do you overcome the fear of judgment and the fear of rejection? It's by practicing courage. It's by immersing yourself in these situations that are uncomfortable. So what does that look like for you? When I was in school, when the teacher would ask a question that I knew the answer to, I wouldn't even raise up my hand. Because I thought, you know what? I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be seen like, I don't want people to look at me like a tryhard. That's what I didn't do. And that's what I encourage you to do. It's not about if your answer is right. It's not about if you ask a dumb question. It's about having the courage to just ask the question. Having the courage to just answer the question. Even if you think your answer is wrong, still raise your hand. Just have the courage to just answer it. It's not even about right or wrong. So with that, what does that look like? Exactly. Reframe the next mark you get. Next time you get a mark, instead of saying, what does this number tell me about myself? Ask yourself, what does this number tell me about my mark? It's the same number, just two different questions, two completely different questions. One tells you that your maths needs work. One tells you you're absolutely nothing. The second one, ask or answer a question in class. Even if you think your question's dumb, even if you think your answer is incorrect, just have the courage to do so. And finally, say hi to someone you haven't talked to yet in your year. You all showed us that you can do it here. I want you to carry that energy into lunchtime as well. Try to talk to someone you haven't talked to. Even a teacher, if you see a teacher walk past you that you've never really talked to, greet them, hello, good afternoon. And so finally, I want to leave you with the 3 lessons I've learned from high school. A number can measure your work. It can absolutely not measure your worth. People don't care as much as you do. They don't. And if they do, just let them. People are going to judge anyways. Just let them. And finally, some of the most important people in your life are people you haven't even met yet. Today is the easiest day to be courageous at TARA. Use it. Thank you, TARA. You've been an absolute pleasure.